Hello, welcome friends. Today we'll go through the life cycle and the external morphology and the biology of the mulberry silkworm. In the earlier classes, we have discussed regarding the importance of the sericulture, types of silkworm host plants, and their systematic position, and also discuss regarding the variety of the silks that are available in India and abroad, and how the silk fiber is important in the textile industries, and the prospects and perspectives of the mulberry silkworm we have discussed. A very important unit that is life cycle of this mulberry silkworm, Bombyx mori is the scientific name of this mulberry silkworm that we will discuss in detail. So friends, let us try to understand the silkworm first. You are familiar with the silkworm, of course. It produces the invaluable silk. The women, in our India, they're extensively using this silk. Today, human being understood that there are many indigenous varieties of the wild silks and their respected moths that are found in the nature. So usually the Bombyx mori, the silkworm, it is blind and it is a flightless moth. It cannot fly. It lays nearly 500 or more eggs in 1 week, within 1 week. Means that from 4 to 6 days it will lay 500 or more eggs. And after laying eggs, it will dies. It will dies soon after laying eggs. So the silk thread produced by this Bombyx mori is very smooth, is fine, clear, pearly, white in color, silky, and it is round too. So this is what the characteristic feature of this silk. So today, the moth of the silkworm, the Bombyx mori, has lost its power to fly and is only capable of mating and producing eggs for the next generation of this silk producers, isn't it? Now, before going to get the knowledge of this life cycle of this silkworm, better to know about history of the silkworm, especially the mulberry silkworm. Bombyx mori, of course, it is popularly known as a Chinese silkworm actually. Now we are calling it as mulberry silkworm or mulberry silk moth. It is well known for genuine silk, whatever we are getting in India. The importance of silkworm in silk production was known in China during 3500 BC, and Chinese people knew the methods for cultivating the silk and preparing the cloth from this particular silk for more than 2000 years ago. So the rearing of silk moth and production of raw silk is known as sericulture. Very simple. What the sericulture is? Rearing of silk moth first, because from that only we are getting a fiber, silk fiber. Production of the raw silk by rearing the silk moths itself is called as sericulture. The art of sericulture was held by Chinese very close to secret. Whatever they do, Chinese, they will keep it as secret. So much so that the leakage of any information or attempt to export eggs from one place to another or living cocoons, pupal stage lo unte cocoons antaru, was punishable with death in those days, isn't it? Even then, silk was after all introduced in Europe by two monks. మతస్థులు అంటారు కదా, మతాచార్యులు చైనా నుంచి దొంగిలించి ఎట్లా పెంచుతారు, సిల్క్ మాత్ని ఎలా వేస్తారు, దాని నుంచి సిల్క్ థ్రెడ్ని ఎలా తీస్తారు అనేది వాళ్ళు యూరోప్కి తీసుకెళ్లారు ఇద్దరు మతాచార్యులు, హూ ఆర్ సెంట్ టు చైనా యాజ్ స్పైస్, గూఢచారులాగా పంపించారనమాట యూరోప్లో, చైనాకు పంపించి ఈ హౌ ద సిల్క్ మాత్ ఈజ్ రేర్డ్, ఎలా పెంచుతారు, దాని నుంచి సిల్క్ని ఎలా తీస్తారు అని తెలుసుకొని, లేటర్ ద కల్చరింగ్, ద రేరింగ్ ఆఫ్ సిల్క్ ఫార్మ్స్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్డ్ టు యూరోప్. They studied the nature, source and art of silkworm rearing and stealthily carried some eggs. దొంగతనంగా కొన్ని ఎగ్స్ తీసుకొచ్చారు in their pilgrims staff to Constantinople in 555 AD. ఆ కాలంలో ఈ పిలిగ్రిమ్స్ రూపంలో ఎగ్స్ని దొంగిలించి 555 ADలో కాన్స్టాంటినోపుల్ అనేటువంటి ప్లేస్కి తీసుకొచ్చారనమాట. సో అప్పటి నుంచి from this place the silkworm rearing was spread to Mediterranean area and Asiatic countries like India, Burma, Thailand, Japan and so on. So we could say that Chinese are the people who first involved in this particular sericulture. So the insect breeders have produced many races of silk moths by hybridization to meet the requirements of the climate, rapidity of reproduction, quality, color and yield of silk. You know, the biotechnology has been involved in the sericulture also to produce wide variety of new silk threads according to the demand prevailed in the world. Let me see habit and habitat of mulberry silkworm. Bombyx mori, of course, the silkworm, the mulberry silkworm is completely domesticated organism. పెంచుకోవచ్చు, ఇంట్లో వాతావరణంలో పెంచుకోవచ్చు and is never found in wild. It doesn't require any wild environments. We could rear in our houses also. The adult moths seldom eat and primarily concerned with reproduction. First, they have to eat more and more their host leaves as food. Their larvae are voracious eaters. Means within no time they will eat many number of leaves. You could hear the sound of the eating also. They feed on the leaves of mulberry trees. Some moths are single brooded. Single brooded means they are called as univoltine. They will breed for one time in their lifetime, and others are many brooded or multivoltine, isn't it? Multivoltine means they will breed many times according to the breeds. Owing to domestication, intlo penchukochu kabatti a large number of strains have been evolved out which produce cocoons of various shapes. Usually the cocoons are in white in color, pearl in color, egg shaped, and they are in various sizes depending on the variety of the silk. The weights may vary and the colors may vary from white to yellow. So nowadays you are getting many types of colors of this silk thread in the market. So due to this hybridization, of course, only one generation is produced in 1 year by a worm in Europe and in other countries where the length of the winters far exceeds, you know, in European countries, winter season is more duration and summer is very less. So usually we may find univoltine varieties in those particular areas. And some more strains are there. They will pass through 2 to 7 broods and are cultivated in warm climates, especially in southern parts of India particularly Mysore, Coimbatore, Salem. You might have heard these cities of Tamil Nadu are famous for varieties of silks, a strain which produces several generations, extensively utilized to produce the silk. See here, my dear friends, this is the adult silk moth you are observing here. So let me see what are the external feature. We could say the morphology, the structure of the mulberry silkworm. So this is the silk moth actually. So the adult moth is about 25 mm long, 25 mm long with a wing span of 40 to 50 mm. The female silk moths are larger than the males. Males kante females koddiga peddaga untayi. The moth is quite robust and creamy white in color. They may be white in color also. They may be wheatish in color. They may be creamy in color. Depends on varieties. The body is distinctly divisible into 3 regions as if in other insects also. Namely head, thorax and abdomen. Din body in kuda 3 rakaluga vibhajistaru. Head, body and thorax. You could find this portion is as head, this is thoracic region, and this portion, entire portion is called as abdomen. Head bears a pair of compound eyes, ikkada akkada rendu kandu untayi. A pair of branched or feathery antennae will be there, 1 and 2. 2 antennas will be present and the respected mouth parts also be seen. The thorax, this region bears, of course, this is the prominent part of the insect. The thorax bears 3 pairs of legs and 2 pairs of wings. You could observe 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. These 2 are the wings and we have 3 pairs of legs as usual in case of other insects also. The cream colored wings are about 25 mm long, 25 mm long and are marked by several faint brown lines. Yes, you could observe the brown lines which are associated in these wings. The entire body is covered by means of minute scales which we could not see with our naked eyes, my dear friends. So in general, we could describe the external features, the morphology of the mulberry silkworm like this. Okay. Now let me go for the life cycle. Very, very important feature of this mulberry silkworm. So usually the silkworms, just now I told you this is a dioecious animal. Silk moth is dioecious, means the sexes are separate. Means male and female silk moths are present. Fertilization is internal and preceded by copulation. By the copulation of the male and female silk moths, the fertilization will take place, and the fertilization will take place internally. The development includes a complicated metamorphosis. I know I told you in the earlier classes regarding the metamorphosis. Meta means change. Morpho means the structure. The change in structure could be seen from larval stage to pubal stage to and the adult stage. There is no resemblance in between the egg to larva, larva to pupa, pupa to adult. So this is called as, of course, a progressive metamorphosis we could observe. Let me see the first step of this life cycle of this silk moth. That is the eggs. Here you could observe all these eggs. After fertilization, usually each female moth lays about 300 to 400 to 500 to 700, depending on the variety of the silkworm. Whatever might be the number, the female moth lays the eggs. These eggs are placed in clusters on the leaves of mulberry tree. మల్బరీ ట్రీ యొక్క ఆకులన్నీ సేకరించి క్లస్టర్స్గా ముద్దలుగా ఆ ఎగ్స్ అన్నిటిని ప్లేస్ చేస్తారనమాట. ఓకే, ద ఫీమేల్ కవర్స్ ద ఎగ్స్ by a gelatinous secretion which glues them to the surface of the leaves. ఆ గ్రుడ్లు ఎక్కడ పెడతాయి? మనం మామూలుగానైతే మల్బరీ లీవ్స్ మీద గ్రుడ్లను పెడతాం, మనం చేస్తే, మనం కల్చర్ చేస్తే. బట్ న్యాచురల్లీ the female covers the eggs by a gelatinous secretion underneath the leaves, ఆకుల వెనక భాగంలో, by attaching their eggs with certain glue secretion. The eggs are small, ఎలా ఉంటాయి? చాలా చిన్నగా ఉంటాయి, oval shape and usually slight yellowish to white in color. It depends from one variety to the other. The egg contains a good amount of yolk as usual and is covered by a smooth, hard, chitinous shell. Each and every egg contains more amount of yolk covered by means of hard chitinous shell. After laying the eggs, the female moth does not take any food. This is the characteristic feature. After laying the eggs, female stops eating and dies within 4 to 5 days. Don't forget, this is the moth will die immediate after 4 to 5 days. It will die by not eating. It starved to death. So in the univoltine, in a single brood per year, సంవత్సరానికి ఒకేసారి గుడ్లు పెడితే బ్రీడింగ్ చేస్తే యూనివోల్టైన్. మల్టీవోల్టైన్ అంటే 3, 4, 5 ఆ లెక్కగా. They may take months because overwintering takes place in this stage, but the multivoltine broods come out after 10 to 12 days. So multivoltine లో 10 to 12 days లో బయటకు వచ్చేస్తాయి అన్నమాట. The eggs will be hatched and new larvae will come out of the eggs. They are called as caterpillar. These caterpillars, in general Telugu they are called bonta purugulu. They may vary in size. On the basis of the size that they come out of the eggs are called as instars. Instar, INSTAR. These instars are nothing but first instar, second instar, third instar. Depending on the sizes, as the size increases, they may be considered as first, second, third, fourth, fifth instar, and so on, isn't it? So of course in general we are calling here as it caterpillar. Okay, so you see my dear friends, here these are the eggs laid underneath the mulberry leaf, isn't it? Next, after hatching out of these eggs, just a minute, after hatching out of these eggs, a caterpillar will come out, isn't it? And later cocoon, a pupal stage will be formed. It is called as, of course, hibernation process of this insect. Later the metamorphosis will occur into a female or male, adult male or adult female. This is a simple life cycle of the silkworm. And let me discuss the larva. This is the larva, my dear friend, caterpillar. The larva of the silkworm moth is called as, just beneath my video, it is called as caterpillar larva. The newly hatched larva is about 4 to 6 mm in length. It is rough, wrinkled and hairless and yellowish white or grayish worm-like body, depends from one species to another. The full-grown larva is about 6 to 8 centimeters. The full-grown larva is 6 to 8. The body of the larva is distinguishable into a prominent head. Head is distinct, baga kanabadutundi. Distinctly segmented into thorax and elongated abdomen. The head bears mandibulate mouth. దవడలు గట్టిగా ఉంటాయి. And 3 pairs of ocelli. A distinct hook-like structure, the spinneret, తిప్పినట్టుగా ఉంటుంది, spinneret is present for the extrusion of silk from the inner silk glands. I have shown diagrammatically regarding the silk gland structure. Spinneret is present in the anterior region of the silk gland, isn't it? So from that spinneret, the silk fiber will sponge and it will come out. The thorax forms the hump and consists of 3 segments. Thorax lo 3 segments untai. Each of these 3 thoracic segments bears a pair of jointed true legs. ఒక్కొక్క segment నుంచి ఒక leg వస్తుంది. 3 pairs of legs will come out of the thorax. The tip of each leg has a recurved hook for locomotion. ప్రతి టిప్ కి ఒక చిన్న హుక్ లాగా ఉంటుంది. It is quite helpful for the movement of the body and the ingestion of the leaves. Okay. The abdomen consists of 10 segments. Abdomen lo 10 thorax lo 3 ఉంటాయి. Abdomen contains 10 segments of which first 9 are clearly marked. First 9 బాగా కనిపిస్తాయి, while the 10th one is indistinct. 10th segment is అంత బాగా స్పష్టంగా కనిపించదు. The third, fourth, fifth, sixth, ninth. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth and ninth abdominal segments bear ventrally a pair of unjointed stumpy appendages. Unjointed గా ఉన్నటువంటి స్టంప్ గా ఉన్నటువంటి మొద్దుగా ఉన్నటువంటి appendages ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. From that it will locomote on the surface of the leaves. You know, these are called as prolegs. ఇట్లాంటి legs ని మనం అంటాం. They are called as they are not true legs actually, hence they are also called as pseudo legs. Pseudo means false. They are not true legs. Each leg is retractile and more or less cylindrical in nature. The 8th segment carries a short dorsal and anal horn. ముల్లు లాగా ఉంటుంది 8th segment కి. A series of respiratory spiracles, పక్కన రంధ్రాలు. Series of respiratory spiracles, వీటిని ఆ రంధ్రాలని ఆస్టియా అంటాము. Ostia are present on either side, lateral side means left and right of the abdomen. They are helpful for the process of respiration. As I told you, this larva is voracious eater. విపరీతంగా మేస్తుంది అంటారు, తింటది. And strongly gregarious too. In the beginning, chopped young mulberry leaves are given. When it is in small size, all pieces of the mulberry leaves are given as food. Chopped అంటారు, కట్ చేసి ఇస్తారు, are given as food. But with the advancement of age, when it reaches to 2nd, 3rd, 4th instar level, the matured leaves are provided as food. This caterpillar moves in a characteristic looping manner. Looping laga పోతుందంట, లూప్ లాగా వెళ్తుంది. The larval life lasts for 2 to 3 weeks. ఈ లార్వా యొక్క కాలం ఎంత ఉంటుంది? 2 to 3 weeks వరకు ఉంటుంది. During this period, the larva molts 4 times. Molting, చర్మ నిర్మోచనం అంటారు కదా, చర్మము పెరుగుతున్న కొద్దీ పాత చర్మం పోయి కొత్త చర్మం వస్తుంది. సో ఈ 2 to 3 weeks టైంలోనే ఈ లార్వా ఏం చేస్తుంది? 2-4 సార్లు మౌల్టింగ్ అనేది చేస్తుంది అనమాట. Molting aituna koddi the size will increase, isn't it? After each moult, the larva grows rapidly. A full-grown larva is about 8 centimeters in length and becomes transparent and golden brown in appearance. Baga transparent ga kanipistundi, golden brown color loki maaripotundi. A pair of long sac-like silk glands now develops. Appude new silk glands will be developed into the lateral sides of the body. These are modified salivary glands. Don't forget, the silk glands are not different. Silk glands are the modified salivary glands of silk moth, isn't it? So this is these are looking like a beautiful whitish pearly in color cocoons. They are called as cocoons. The full, of course, it is a best stage for silk moth, that is pupal stage of this silk moth. A full grown larva now stops feeding. After attaining the size of 8 centimeters, it will stop feeding and hides itself, tananu tanu darchukuni itself under a corner under the leaves. ఆకుల అడుగు భాగంలో పోయి తనను తాను దాచుకుంటుంది. ఎలా? It now begins, this is what the crucial period in the life cycle of the silkworm, my dear friends. It now begins to secrete the clear sticky fluid of its salivary glands. Salivary glands are nothing but silk glands. Through a narrow pore called the spinneret situated on the hypopharyngeal region. హైపోఫారింగ్స్ రీజియన్లో ఉన్నటువంటి స్పిన్నరెట్ ద్వారా ఇట్ సీక్రెట్స్ ద ఫ్లూయిడ్, స్టిక్కీ ఫ్లూయిడ్, జిగురుగా ఉన్నటువంటి ఫ్లూయిడ్ని స్రవిస్తుంది. that sticky substance in future turns into a fine long solid thread, దారం లాగా అయిపోతుంది అనమాట, or a filament of the silk into the air, isn't it? That thread, that filament becomes wrapped around the body. ఆ ఫిలమెంట్ తన చుట్టూ చుట్టుకుంటుంది, wrapped around the body of the caterpillar larva, forming a complete covering, తన చుట్టూ చుట్టేసుకుంటుంది. or this case is called as pupal case. ప్యూపా దశ కాబట్టి ప్యూపల్ కేస్ అంటారు, కవచం. now that condition is called as cocoon. that stage is called as cocoon, isn't it? These are the cocoons I have depicted with a diagram. Okay, the cocoon formation takes about 3 to 4 days. See my dear friend, within 3 to 4 days it will secretes the sticky fluid, later in turn forms into the filaments or the silk fiber. Within 3 to 4 it will protect its body by making a shield with its fiber own. That is called as cocoon here. The cocoon formation takes about 3 to 4 days. The cocoon serves as a comfortable house for it, for the protection of the caterpillar larva for further development. You know, silk moth has its own life cycle, but for our sake, we need that fiber, we need that silk fiber. So in order to get the silk fiber, we have to kill the animal under the cocoon stage only. Otherwise, it may become into a moth. By producing a moth, it doesn't have any economic importance to the farmer. Hence, we have to kill at that particular stage only in order to get the fiber. నీకు సిల్క్ రావాలంటే కకూన్ స్టేజ్లోనే ఈ సిల్క్ మాత్ని చంపేయాలి, లేకపోతే అది సీతాకోక చిలుకగా మారిన తర్వాత, సారీ సీతాకోక చిలుక కాదు, మాత్ రూపంలో మారిన తర్వాత మనకు ఉపయోగం లేదు, isn't it? That's why in the pupal stage only it has to be killed. The cocoon is white in color or yellowish in color. It looks thick, oval in shape, guddu shape lo untundi. It is oval capsule which is slightly narrow in the middle. It is formed of a single long continuous thread. Okay, thread chuttukuntundi. The outer threads, which are initial filaments of the cocoon, are irregular, but the inner ones forming later the actual bed of the pupae is one long continuous thread about 300 meters in length. పైన బాగా రఫ్గా ఉంటుంది కానీ లోపలి థ్రెడ్ 300 meters వరకు కంటిన్యూస్గా ఉంటుంది అనమాట. wound round the concentric rings, ఎట్లా రింగులుగా చుట్టేస్తుంది అనమాట, by constant motion of the head from one side to the other about 65 times per minute, my dear friends. ఒక నిమిషానికి 65 సార్లు చుడుతుంది అనమాట, తన చుట్టూ తాను చుట్టుకుంటుంది తన తలతో. తల ద్వారా వచ్చినటువంటి సిల్క్ గ్లాండ్స్తో స్టిక్కీ సబ్స్టెన్స్ని ఫిలమెంట్స్గా మార్చేస్తుంది. సీ హౌ ఇట్ వర్క్స్ ఫర్ అవర్ సేక్. ద ఇర్రెగ్యులర్ సర్ఫేస్ థ్రెడ్స్ ఆర్ సీక్రెటెడ్ ఫస్ట్. ఫస్ట్ వచ్చిందంతా ఇర్రెగ్యులర్గా ఉంటుంది, అండ్ ద ఇన్నర్ కంటిన్యూస్ థ్రెడ్స్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ఏ లీనియర్ ఫ్యాషన్. The silk thread is secreted at the rate of 150 mm per minute. ఒక నిమిషానికి 150 mm ప్రొడ్యూస్ అవుతుంది అనమాట ఫ్రమ్ దేర్ స్పిన్నరెట్స్ ఆఫ్ ది సిల్క్ గ్లాండ్స్. Within a fortnight, the caterpillar larva transform into a conical brownish creature called the pupa. This pupal stage is called as chrysalis. Don't forget this particular silk formation of pupa into a conical brownish form is called as pupal stage or the chrysalis. The pupa lies dormant, లోపలనే ఉండిపోతుంది, but undergoes very important active changes, metamorphosis, which are referred as metamorphosis. The larval organs such as abdominal prolegs, anal horn and mouth parts are lost. Whatever the structures are there in the caterpillar stage will be lost. The adult organs such as antennae, wings, and copulatory organs, copulatory apparatus will be developed. The distinguishing male and female features will develop in that pupal stage itself by disappearing the features which are there in the caterpillar stage. The pupa finally metamorphoses into an adult. The adult itself is called as imago, adult in 2 to 3 weeks of time. But I told you very clearly, in the pupal stage itself, we will kill the animal for not to become into an adult. By getting adult in the sericulture, it is of no use. So this is what the brief life cycle of the silkworm, mulberry silkworm. And this is the adult that we are observing here. The adult moth emerges out through an opening at the end of the cocoon. It is about 2 to 3 weeks of time if allowed to live. మనం బతకనిస్తే అది 2-3 వారాల్లో బయటకు వచ్చి ఆ సైజులో ఉంటుంది. మనం కకూన్ స్టేజ్లో చంపేస్తే ఇంకా ఈ అడల్ట్ స్టేజ్ అనేది ఉండనే ఉండదు. Immediately before emergence, the pupa secretes an alkaline fluid that softens one end. ఎట్లా వస్తుంది సార్, అంత గట్టిగా ఉందిగా కకూన్? It softens one particular end by secreting a fluid. And after breaking its silk strands, ఆ దారాలన్నీ పొరలన్నిటిని బ్రేక్ చేసి a feeble crumpled adult squeezes out, బయటకు వచ్చేస్తుంది. So soon after emergence, the adult silk moths mate. Malli it chooses the other male or female. They will mate, they will lay their eggs, and they will die. This is what the cycle that we could observe in case of this mulberry silkworm. So that's all today, my dear friends. This is the life cycle and the biology and the morphology of the silk moth. It is very, very important. Please go through the textbook also for your better understanding. Thank you.